Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem, amma ba'd. So somebody wrote a letter to Hakim Sahib rahmatullahi alayhi, and he mentioned about his habit or a question regarding speaking a lot and laughing. So Hakim Sahib rahmatullahi alayhi explained in this very nice way. He said, look, religion does not tell us to stay quiet at all times, that don't talk. That doesn't mean you're very pious. Similarly, Islam doesn't tell us that you should never laugh. And he says further that if you try to just say, oh, I'm not going to talk, I'm just going to stay quiet the whole day and just think about Allah the whole day, I'm just going to do this, then he goes, it's not good for your mental state. It's not good for your mental state. And he goes that to stay quiet, like just to not speak, this is not even something that the Sharia demands from us. Yes, and then he goes on and he says, what the Sharia, what Islam wants from us is that we stay away from sins. That's all the Sharia wants from us. Do not do anything which is against the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because why? We all want to become the friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to become the friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all we have to do is to abstain from sins. Yes? To talk, to laugh, to joke, to do things which help us just feel enjoyment. Yes? This is not something that the Sharia asks us not to do. Yes, keep moderation. And all you have to worry about is when you're speaking, when you're laughing, when you're joking, when you're entertaining each other, then it's not that you're doing something which displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes? Right? That's what he's saying here. So sometimes we'll have this thing that, sometimes you read a story. So sometimes many stories are certain, you have something called like a hal. A person is something that happens to you, overwhelmed by a certain situation. Like for example, like there's a death in the family. Now, obviously at that time, death is like on everybody's mind. So you're not gonna like joke then. So wait for 2-3 days, you don't joke. You don't feel like speaking about anything else. And after a while that goes away. So sometimes people have this for longer time. Yes. So when you hear stories about things like this, it doesn't mean that this is something that you expect to have all the time. Do you understand? So if you hear a story about this, so sometimes many stories we hear, you have to say, is this actually like a long-term requirement? Or this so sometimes some people have become like this in awe. You understand? For example, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, this man, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he went for Mi'raj, and in Mi'raj, when he ascension to the heavens, he saw Jannah, he saw Jahannam. Now, if you see Jahannam, like for example, let's say for example somebody sees their parents being killed, or they see somebody burning in the fire in this world, what will happen? They get trauma, isn't it? But the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw this. Yet the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam lived in this world. He used to eat, he used to drink, he used to spend time with the family, his wife. He used to even love the companions, joke around the companions. So which means that these prophets sometimes he would cry the whole night in Salah, read one ayah the whole night. So that's a particular state. But he didn't sit the whole time. So the Prophet he would remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all times, but then he would interact with everybody around him. The Sharia doesn't demand us for that. We become like a zombie. Yeah. So like if you read a story, it doesn't mean that person or he was against the Sharia. It means that he was overcome a particular time, or for a long time, or for some time. But that's not the long-term natural. You understand? So when you read stories like that, it doesn't mean that that's wrong. That means that they've overcome a certain situation. They were overcome. They're in the ayah, they're in the hadith. Sometimes you have you just have this consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have the consciousness of death. It can happen. But that's not like a long-term thing. That's not something that you have all the time. So those stories are particular circumstances. Do you understand? So let's you understand that. Sometimes every story is not for a long term. Like for example, read a story about someone doing extreme sacrifice or extreme ibadah or something. That's like, okay, that's one off. Particular, maybe for in Ramadan or something, or in Taraweeh or during Hajj or particular night. But it has to be a long term. And the Prophet ﷺ, he would talk about about everything. He would talk about the dunya, he would talk about the deen, he would talk about everything. He would joke around the Sahaba. Yes. So, and when the Quran says فَلْيَضْحَكُوا قَلِيلًا فَلْيَضْحَكُوا قَلِيلًا وَيَبْكُوا كَثِيرًا, it means the lazim of this. When you do dhik a lot, what does that usually imply? You're ghafil from the hereafter. So don't be ghafil from the dunya. Don't be ghafil from the hereafter. وَلْيَبْكُوا كَثِيرًا, why would you cry a lot when you worry about your dunya, worry about your deen and the hereafter? So the lazim is intended. The not exactly have to cry a lot, but it means worry about the hereafter. You understand? So don't it doesn't mean that this mess up. So the laughing that is warned against is when like completely ghafil, you're just talking nonsense, no benefit, not even something, whether it's lies, whether it's truth, whether you're hurting somebody's feeling, whether it's ghiba, whether it's accusation, whether it's foul stuff. That's when that's ghafil, you're just negligent. And the thing that's encouraged everywhere is fun, is jokes, everybody's happy, you're making somebody else enjoyable, you said a laugh, everybody's enjoying it, then that's something that is thing. And Hakim Rahmatullah, he used to like a lot of that as well. When he sometimes like a lot of those jokes and laugh. Even some of his poetry as well, sometimes he talks a bit like some like funny stuff in his joke as well. So to have that is a moderation, and if you don't have that moderation, sometimes it has effect on you mentally as well, right? So the only maqsood is do not do sins. That's the objective, right? Subhanallah.